For most of the world, Iran is a place defined by headlines, a country imagined from afar, mysterious, distant, even unreachable. But what if everything you thought you knew was only the surface? Because hidden beyond the noise exists one of the most geographically extraordinary places on Earth, a land where temperatures rise higher than anywhere ever recorded, where deserts sculpt cities from sand, islands glow red against turquoise seas, and ancient forests, older than the Ice Age, still whisper beside forgotten shores. This journey will take us across burning deserts, alien valleys, silent oceans, and towering mountains that have shaped Persian legends for thousands of years. From the hottest place on Earth to a sacred volcanic summit above the clouds. This is not the Iran you expect. This is Iran, a world of many worlds. Valley of the Stars. Local legend says a fallen star shaped this land. Wind and water, however, are the true artists patiently carving towers, arches, and fragile spires from ancient seabed sediments. As daylight fades, shadows stretch across the formations, transforming the valley into something almost cosmic. The silence here feels alive, amplifying every step and every breath. It is easy to understand why generations believed celestial forces once touched this place. Under the vast Iranian sky, imagination begins to blur with reality. Some landscapes are seen, others are felt. Standing in the Valley of the Stars, you begin to wonder how many mysteries of Earth still remain unexplained. Chahkooh Canyon. Hidden deep within Qeshm Island, this canyon feels almost sculpted by intention rather than erosion. Vertical walls rise sharply, their surfaces marked by curves, cavities, and smooth passages carved by centuries of rare desert rainfall. As sunlight filters through narrow openings above, the canyon glows in shifting tones of amber and shadow. Walking deeper, the outside world disappears, replaced by echoing silence and cool air trapped within stone. Every turn reveals new textures, nature's slow artistry unfolding in layers. Here, time moves differently. You are not just observing geology, you are moving through it. Have you ever entered a place where the earth itself feels alive around you? Persian Gulf. After the silence of the desert, the sea arrives like a long exhale. Gentle waves move across turquoise waters that have connected civilizations for thousands of years. Traders, sailors, and empires once crossed these routes, carrying stories between continents. Today, the Gulf feels timeless, neither restless nor still. Sunlight dances on the surface, as if the ocean remembers every journey ever taken here. The air softens, the rhythm slows, and the landscape begins to heal from the intensity of the desert. Standing at the shoreline, exploration no longer feels like movement, but reflection. When was the last time you simply watched the horizon without rushing forward? Strait of Hormuz. Here, geography becomes destiny. One of the world's most strategic waterways narrows the distance between continents into a fragile passage of currents and motion. Massive ships glide silently through waters that shape global trade and modern history. Yet beyond geopolitics, the strait feels surprisingly calm, mountains fading into haze, while sea and sky merge into one endless line. It is a reminder that even the busiest crossroads on Earth can hold moments of stillness. Watching vessels disappear toward distant horizons, you sense how movement defines civilization itself. Every journey begins with a passage like this. Gulf of Oman. The coastline opens wider, and suddenly Iran no longer feels enclosed. The sea stretches outward toward the Indian Ocean, connecting this land to distant worlds beyond sight. Waves grow deeper in color, the wind stronger, carrying the scent of open water. Standing here feels different, less intimate, more infinite. The landscape invites imagination. Ancient explorers, migrating whales, and unseen routes across vast oceans. The desert taught endurance, the ocean teaches freedom. How far would you travel if no horizon ever truly ended? Bandar Abbas. After vast landscapes of silence, human life returns with energy and sound. Fishing boats sway beside busy docks, while markets pulse with color, voices, and movement. The heat of southern Iran blends with maritime culture shaped by centuries of trade. Here, daily life unfolds between desert mountains and open sea. Children play along the harbor, fishermen prepare nets at sunrise, and the rhythm of ordinary moments becomes its own form of beauty. Exploration shifts again, no longer about landscapes, but about people. Every port city tells stories written not in stone, but in lives lived beside the water. Shahid Raja'i Port. Modern Iran reveals itself through motion and industry. Giant cranes rise against the sky, containers move in precise choreography, and global commerce flows quietly across the docks. This is where ancient trade routes evolve into modern logistics, linking Iran to economies across the world. The contrast is striking, from untouched deserts to one of the nation's busiest gateways. Ships depart carrying goods, stories, and invisible connections between nations. Here, the journey reminds us that landscapes shape history, but human ambition continues to reshape the future. Qeshm Island. After deserts and open seas, the journey arrives somewhere softer, almost dreamlike. The island feels suspended between reality and imagination, where cliffs carved by wind rise above calm turquoise waters. Time slows here. Fishermen move quietly along the shore while tides reshape the coastline day after day. Qeshm is not dramatic in a loud way, its beauty unfolds gently, rewarding patience. As sunlight fades across the rocks, the island reveals a deeper truth. Some places are not meant to impress you instantly, but to stay with you long after you leave. Have you ever visited a place that felt strangely familiar, even on your first step? Hormuz Island. Suddenly, the earth changes color. Hills glow in shades of red, orange, and gold, as if an artist painted the landscape with minerals instead of light. Walking across Hormuz feels like stepping onto another planet, yet the atmosphere remains peaceful and surreal rather than harsh. The wind carries silence, and every step reveals new textures beneath your feet. This island reminds us that nature does not always follow expectation. Beauty can be strange, unfamiliar, and still deeply comforting. Here, imagination becomes part of the journey itself. What color would you give to a memory if landscapes could be remembered like dreams? Red Beach. Few places on Earth feel this unreal. Crimson sand meets turquoise water, creating a contrast so vivid it almost seems impossible. Waves wash over iron-rich soil, briefly turning the shoreline into liquid color. The scene feels cinematic, without effort, raw, natural, unforgettable. Standing here blurs the line between landscape and emotion. The beach does not demand attention, it quietly captures it. In moments like this, travel stops being about distance and becomes about perception. Hengam Island. Life becomes simpler again. Dolphins sometimes appear in the early morning light, moving effortlessly through clear waters beside small wooden boats. The island feels intimate, almost personal, far removed from the scale of continents and trade routes explored earlier. Here, exploration turns inward. Gentle waves, quiet villages, and open skies invite reflection rather than excitement. Hengam reminds us that the most meaningful moments of travel are often the quietest ones, the ones that cannot be planned or repeated. If you could pause time anywhere, would it look like this? Hara mangrove forest. Between land and sea, another hidden world emerges. Trees rise directly from shallow water, creating floating forests shaped by tides and patience. Birds glide silently above mirrored reflections, while narrow channels wind through green corridors. The atmosphere feels sacred, almost untouched by time. Here, nature exists in balance, neither ocean nor land, but something beautifully in between. As the sun lowers, shadows stretch across the water like brushstrokes on glass. The journey reaches a moment of stillness, preparing the soul for what comes next. In between, as the sun lowers, shadows stretch across the water like brushstrokes on glass. The journey reaches a moment of stillness, preparing the soul for what comes next. Hyrcanian forests. After crossing deserts and islands shaped by heat and salt, Iran reveals an entirely different identity. Dense forests stretch across northern mountains, older than many civilizations themselves. Mist drifts through ancient trees that have survived millions of years of climate change, creating a world untouched by urgency. The air feels cooler, heavier with life. Sunlight filters gently through layers of green, replacing the harsh brilliance of the desert with quiet comfort. Walking here feels like stepping backward in time, into a landscape that existed long before human borders. Sometimes the greatest discoveries are not new places, but new perspectives. Caspian Sea. The landscape opens once again, but this time with calm rather than intensity. Gentle waves meet lush shores, where mountains descend softly toward the water. Unlike the southern seas, the Caspian feels introspective, almost private. Villages rest quietly along the coastline, while clouds roll slowly across a wide northern sky. The journey no longer feels adventurous, it feels restorative. Here, Iran becomes a place of balance, where nature invites stillness instead of exploration. When travel slows down, we begin to notice what truly matters. Mazandaran. Rolling hills covered in deep green fields reveal a side of Iran rarely imagined by outsiders. Rice paddies shimmer under soft light, while narrow roads wind between villages, surrounded by forests and mountains. Life here follows seasonal rhythms rather than global urgency. Farmers work quietly, mist rises at dawn, and nature shapes daily existence. The contrast with the desert could not be greater. Mazandaran feels gentle, welcoming, almost familiar, reminding travelers that every country holds multiple identities waiting to be discovered. Gilan. Rainfall nourishes fertile lands where greenery seems endless. Wooden houses stand beside tea plantations and wetlands alive with birds and movement. The atmosphere feels almost European, yet distinctly Persian in spirit and culture. Markets overflow with local produce, while coastal winds carry the scent of rain and earth. Gilan represents harmony between people and landscape, a quieter relationship shaped by generations living close to nature. Travel here becomes less about seeing and more about feeling connected to place. Ramsar. Known for its natural beauty, the city sits where forested mountains meet the sea. Cable cars rise above green slopes, revealing panoramic views where land, water, and sky merge effortlessly. Ramsar feels like a peaceful retreat, a place where travelers pause rather than rush forward. The sound of waves mixes with forest winds, creating a rare balance between energy and calm. After long journeys through extremes, this moment offers quiet gratitude, a reminder that travel is not only about discovery, but about renewal. Bandar Anzali. Along the Caspian shoreline, life flows gently through lagoons and quiet harbors. Boats drift across reflective waters, while wetlands host migrating birds traveling across continents. The city feels connected to nature in a subtle, understated way. Evening light softens the horizon, and the journey enters a reflective mood. Bandar Anzali marks the final breath of calm before the story rises once more toward Iran's highest mountains. Mount Damavand. Rising above clouds and legend, Iran's highest peak stands not only as a mountain, but as a symbol woven deeply into Persian identity. Snow covers its volcanic summit, while silence dominates the thin mountain air. After deserts, oceans, islands, and forests, the journey finally ascends towards something timeless. Each step upward feels symbolic, leaving behind landscapes of survival and entering a space of reflection. From this height, borders disappear and the vastness of Iran unfolds as one continuous story. Damavand reminds us that exploration is never only about geography, it is about perspective. When you reach the summit of a journey, what truly changes the world beneath you, or the way you see it? Zagros Mountains. Stretching across western Iran, these ancient ranges feel like the backbone of the land itself. Valleys carved over millions of years hold stories of migration, culture, and resilience. Golden light moves slowly across layered ridges as evening approaches, signaling the quiet closing of the journey. Unlike the dramatic beginning in the desert, the ending arrives gently grounded, reflective, complete. The mountains do not demand attention, they offer understanding. Here, travel transforms into memory. Iran is no longer a distant destination, but a lived experience carried forward beyond the screen. Every journey ends, but the feeling it leaves behind continues long after the road disappears. Lut Desert, Lut. Few places on Earth feel this raw, this untouched. Here, temperatures have climbed higher than almost anywhere ever recorded, turning the ground into a living furnace. From above, the desert resembles another planet, endless ridges carved by wind over thousands of years. Silence dominates everything. No cities, no vegetation. Only heat, light, and time itself. Standing here feels less like visiting a destination and more like witnessing Earth in its earliest form. The horizon trembles under waves of heat, reminding us how small humanity truly is. And yet, there is beauty in this harshness, a reminder that life begins in extremes. Would you dare to walk across the hottest landscape on Earth? Kaluts. Rising from the desert floor like an abandoned city, these towering formations were sculpted entirely by wind and time. From a distance, they resemble skyscrapers swallowed by sand, a silent metropolis without inhabitants. As shadows stretch across the ground at sunset, the landscape transforms into a labyrinth of light and darkness. Every ridge tells a geological story written over millions of years. Walking among the Kaluts feels strangely human, as if nature itself attempted architecture long before civilization existed. There is no sound here, except the wind weaving through stone corridors. It's easy to forget which planet you're standing on. If a city could be built by nature alone, would it look like this? Gandum Beryan Plateau. Known as one of the hottest surfaces ever measured on Earth, this dark volcanic plateau absorbs the sun with relentless intensity. The ground appears almost burned black, cracked, and endlessly dry. Scientists once believed life could not survive here, yet even in such extremes, nature continues its quiet persistence. Heat waves shimmer across the horizon like mirages from another dimension. Standing here feels surreal, as if Earth briefly reveals its inner fire. There are no landmarks, no comfort, only exposure to the elements in their purest form. It challenges a simple question: how far can life endure when the planet itself pushes back? Valley of the Stars. Local legend says a fallen star shaped this land. Wind and water, however, are the true artists patiently carving towers, arches, and fragile spires from ancient seabed sediments. As daylight fades, shadows stretch across the formations, transforming the valley into something almost cosmic. The silence here feels alive, amplifying every step and every breath. It is easy to understand why generations believed celestial forces once touched this place. Under the vast Iranian sky, imagination begins to blur with reality. Some landscapes are seen, others are felt. Standing in the Valley of the Stars, you begin to wonder how many mysteries of Earth still remain unexplained.